welcome to another episode of AnecDotes. I tried real hard not to shout at the start there. It worked, I think.
Yeah,
It's very calm,
very good, yeah.
smooth. Episode 11, by the way. We actually thought after 10 is like end of season 1. For a little bit, that was planned.
We've extended.
Yeah, 12 episodes, and then we have the end of the season. We also try to keep our anecdotes timeless, meaning that we are not talking about subjects that are only interesting now, but that you'll be able to enjoy this hopefully, apparently in 1,000 years, says Kyle.
Maybe even 10,000. I mean, this could be the first one you're listening to. Remember, there's 10 more, check those out.
Yeah.
I'm told they're great. Out of the couple hundred views we get, most my family is tuning in. They say it's great. Your dad loves them, apparently. So hey, that's what we're here for. And Ree, of course.
Yep. Ree and,
shout out to Ree.
And Wiske as well, because those two came up with the name AnecDotes. My older sister actually came up with that, which is a great name.
It is.
And I wish more people got to see it. But,
yeah, they will.
Eventually.
I like being more, underground, right? If everyone started watching it, it'd be ruined.
If everybody started watching it all at once, it would be ruined.
Yeah.
But if it's gradually increasing, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
So tell your friends and family, but not too many friends and family.
Yeah. Keep it small.
Keep it small. All right. The first, this topic is a question that we get asked a lot. And there's actually two parts of this question, but we're only discussing one part. So the question is, how do I get into esports? How do I become a pro player? And we're going to focus on how to become a pro player, or anything like an amateur player, pro player. How to get good.
How to get good.
Basically.
Yeah.
Let's say, I think it's very easy to break down. You have to be good enough to play Dota. That's one step that is very easy to recognize.
Is it though?
Is it?
The problem is the worse.
How to start.
Dunning-Kruger, right? The worse you are at Dota, the better you might think you are. I've heard a lot of 2K players talking about how they are really 5K, but they just can't get out of their own MAR bracket.
Oh, I have that same problem.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I think, well, if you're talking general esports, I've always had the theory that there's three methods. You have to know someone.
Yeah.
You have to volunteer for a decent amount of time.
Yep.
And this really, even if you do those first two, you have to work really, really hard at unconventional hours. Like, Josh recently, best friend, stepped away from esports, partly just because the schedule, like, it's hard. Like, we talked about this. He was over at the house for holidays and everything. Like, I haven't taken a real vacation in years. Neither had he. And even if you have a break, like a weekend, you're still on call. You still might have issues. Your teams might have matches.
Yep.
Your schedule is never, you don't know what's going to happen next week.
And if you're a pro player, you have to accept that and know that you are only playing. You can't just take a week off. No. You can't just say, oh, wait a second, I'll play again next week because tomorrow I have got this thing with my girlfriend. And but, it's not going to happen if you don't work hard for it and put in all your time, and even then it might still not happen.
Yep. My theory is on play debt is that if you take a week off, it takes you a week of practice to get back to the level you were before you took time off. Yep. So unlike other games, which isn't to say that they're easier, but you can step away from, say, Counter-Strike for a couple of months. And if you come back, or not even months, like a week or two, you come back, the guns are the same, the maps are the same, your muscle memory is the same. Yeah. And yeah, sure, you're going to practice, you'll be rusty, but it's not like in Dota where you come back and the openers are different. What people are using to counter you is different. The lanes you're up against are different. You suddenly have to relearn all this information because the game is constantly growing. And that's really difficult and stressful. Especially like throwing patches and there's no breaks.
No, there's no breaks. Dota's always evolving. You got to watch other people play. And when you're not watching other people play, you got to talk about other people playing. And when you're not doing that, you got to talk to other people about you playing. And when you're not doing that, you have to actually be playing. Yep. So it's like living and breathing Dota all the time. But there's a lot of people that are trying to play and are trying to be professional and do all that. They put in all their time, and it's just they can't breach that level. They can't get to the next step. What's that barrier that's holding those people back that do have the skill but just can't, I don't know, they can't catch a break?
It's a good question. because external factors are always going to play a part. You know, it's significantly harder for players from, say, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, or you know, maybe Eastern Europe versus Western Europe to gain recognition because of either language barriers, cultural barriers, like time zones, just the lack of infrastructure and support in those regions. But you can always blame yourself. And I feel like you have to always try and examine what you can do to change first. And that's very difficult, and it's not really fair in a team game where you're at best 20% of the results, but you just can't fix anyone else. You know, I've tried. Well, it doesn't work. You just can't do it. And at some point, you got to be mature and just realize, like, I am ultimately responsible for my own life and my position in it. And if I want to make change, I need to create that change and work harder, work smarter, just do more.
I think we touched on this subject before, but how much, if you're aiming to be a professional player, how much does that player need to focus on? Like, what's the percentage breakdown, if you will, from being able to play good, being a good team player and actually a good person that actually can work in a team, because there's some people that don't, and being flexible as well. Like, what's the percentage breakdown as a person in terms of Dota skill? Obviously, you would want to have everything really good, but you gotta, you know, that's not always the case.
It's tough. I feel like it differs from team to team. There's some teams that, like, if you look at the top ones, right, they all have different identities. And it kind of just goes into how your personality meshes with your teammates. Because I've had guys that I realize, like, need socially, like, they want to be social after the game. I'm one of those people, you know. I really like talking to people, and that's just what I enjoy. There's other guys that just, you know, scrims in for the day, leave them alone. Like, if they go back to their apartment, hang out, like, they're good.
Play some Dota chess.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're going to be just fine. And the difficulty is realizing that, you know, even though you kind of are forced to be friends with your teammates, and it's important to recognize that there's certain separation that you also have to maintain, because you are, like, colleagues. It's, at the end of the day, a business relationship, and you have to factor in sort of, how am I supposed to be friends with this person properly? And then how do you work? It's real complicated. So there is no answer. I don't know.
Okay.
That's why that's why I'm here.
That's why you need coaches.
Yes.
And then not coaches that will tell you what to do in the game and how to change drafts or whatever. But I think, and a lot of managers already take over that role, just managing people and coaching the people rather than the Dota behind it is one of the more important things to do, I think. I got a phone call, but I'm not going to answer.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. But I think also, I recently talked to some people about this, where if you are, let's say you've got an amateur team, you know, you're trying real hard to qualify, because there's all these open qualifiers and it's great, and, you know, there's loads of opportunities for people to actually try and participate and show and prove that they're good enough. If you do have that 5-man squad, you do try to grow together and you do everything else right. A lot of those teams come to LAN and they just flop because they're not used to playing in a different setup. They're not used to playing on a stage, or, you know, not practicing all day, because obviously you're at an event, you can't do that all day sometimes. And I actually think that it's underrated to practice that aspect of playing on LAN. You can practice, you can sit on a different chair, you can go to your mom's kitchen table and set up your PC there, and, you know, it will be slightly different, but you can try to, you know, get used to different environments to play at. I mean, you can't really prepare for the crowd, though, but still.
Not really. Certain players are always going to be better in front of crowds, and certain ones will always be worse. That's just kind of how it goes. You can practice, though, to be fair. Some people will get better on stage over time, but, you know, nerves do play a part.
Yeah.
Like, I think Astralis and Counter-Strike, they're like the most dominant CS team of all time, and I think the amount they've invested into their back end is a big reason why. They've got personal trainers, they've got a psychologist, a sports psychologist that travels with the team, interviews them as a team and as individuals consistently. Like, they have a great, like, it's a complete package. And you look at that team, it's like they had Audi for a while. You know, they're like one of the only organizations, they're player owned and run that, well, not run, but, you know, it's a player team, and they've landed these huge whale sponsorships. And I think it all kind of goes hand in hand, because that whole team, not just the 5 individual players, but the team around them, is incredible. And they've made sure that they have a person to handle all these aspects, sales and marketing, an accountant, a lawyer, a trainer, like blah, 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 and a coach, and then like a mental coach. Like if you really focus and treat this as a career, like think about the Premier League or the Champions League, those players.
Yeah.
In the NFL, this is not just, oh, you know, how much did you practice? It's about, as a individual human, making yourself the best person you can be, and with that, a better player. Like, it's the complete package you've got to work on.
So as an amateur player, as someone that wants to go pro, I mean, I guess there's a lot of people who would be okay with volunteering to do that kind of stuff as well. Like you can, you know, we don't talk about the other side of the esports, like working in esports and not being a player, but there's a lot of people willing to volunteer to try and work in esports. Mm-hmm. So if you do have an amateur team, I'm sure you can find someone that can help you with that side as well.
Yeah, you can at least try.
Yes.
Obviously, if you don't pay someone, you're not going to get the same as if you paid a professional.
Sure.
And the difficulty is...
But not everybody can pay for it.
True. It's tough because I like unpaid internships are rampant in the U.S. I think they're just silly. Like it's just not fair to ask someone to work for nothing if there isn't something they're working towards. But the problem, it's the same as Hollywood and really any industry in which there's sort of a gravitas or fame included in the scene, is that people will just want to be a part of it for the sake of it. It's not about making money. You know, if you could make it a career for yourself, that's great. But because there's so much demand, the entry levels are...
People can pay for their coaches and managers and all that if they get sponsors. So what you're saying is, if you are an amateur team, get good at sales, because that is where the true path lies.
In a sense,
I mean, you got to be able to sell yourself as well.
Yeah, I think that is the undervalued aspect of all this, which is you can't be afraid to ask for things, even when it comes to jobs. You go out and get it. Like, I'm serious. DMs for esports personalities, like if you look at the accessibility versus visibility, we are so much more open than any other industry, okay? Like, we have meet and greets at every LAN where you can just walk up and, like, for free, say what's up to the teams, pose for some photos. I've had numerous occasions where I smuggled a couple fans into the after party after hanging out with them, you know, to chill.
That's the culprit right there, tournament organizers.
Whoa, whoa.
You knew there was one. We found him. The point of AnecDotes, this was a ruse all along to try and get Kyle to admit, finally, that he is the one smug. Okay, sorry, continue.
No problem. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. It's just cool because we're... I was talking with Seb right just before the PGL minor, and he was talking about how, like, he won TI, right? Sebastian's a TI winner, but he's the same guy. He's the exact same guy, and he says it's like it's weird now because people will talk to him and ask questions, and they're like, oh. Whereas previously, he'd be like, oh, you're an idiot. And he's like, I'm still an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
But I happen to win TI. But now all of a sudden, you know, people respect me. It's like, it's just silly because it should be the validity and the veracity of your ideas that you evaluate. Not like, oh, well, this guy's really famous or he won, so I guess what he says is right. There's this, I think it's Bo Burnham. He has this great quip in one of his specials. Like, do you know, how dumb is it? I think it's irresponsible for someone like me or Taylor Swift to tell you to follow your dreams, because most times following your dreams doesn't work out. And to take someone that is already in this position, like say, oh, you can do anything, yada yada. Not everyone can.
No.
And I'm not saying that you, the viewer, can't, because really, if you have a dream and you want it bad enough, I think that you can accomplish it in some way. But if I told you, hey, what you want, that position you want, where you want to be, you can get there, but you're going to have to live in your car for the next 5 years. There's people that would say, oh, hell yes. Like, where do I sign up?
But then...
That's the sort of passion you need if you're going to beat these other guys.
It's very tricky because, you know, all these people, they see these pro players and they're like, well, I can do that too. And it's difficult. You don't really see the full picture, because for every pro player that you see playing, there's going to be thousands of people that tried and failed along the way, and that did live in their car for the last 5 years. But even living in your car for the last 5 years is no guarantee that you'll actually get it. It's you know, that's good. I would add to that. You live in your car for 5 years, and I'll flip a coin. Yeah. And will you still take that chance? Well, then not even a coin, roll a dice. Sure. I wouldn't say it's 50-50 after those 5 years either. That's a good point. And that's the kind of, you got to be a little crazy. Yeah. Okay, there's a reason a lot of the most visible artists and even players, we're not quite at that level yet, but you know, they got huge personalities. They seem almost to be from another world, and it's because they are. They're crazy. Yeah. It is crazy what our professional Dota players do, especially when it gets to TI time, in attempts to grind. There's a great article. One of my favorite NBA personalities is a guy named Richard Jefferson. He's in broadcasting now, hilarious dude, talking about how much it meant to him to win a title. He was on the Cavaliers team that beat the Warriors. Okay. It was like this massive upset. They came back from 3-1, and he talked about how at Game 7, like at the end, when he realizes they've won, he is crying like a baby. He's like, he wants to curl up in the fetal position. He's like, I cannot believe this is happening. And his wife is like, making fun of him, like, you didn't cry when we got married. You didn't cry when your son was born. He's like, it's not the same. He's like, I love you. It's not the same. That's normal. Okay, it's not hard to get married. It's not hard to have a child. There are some people that would Let me rephrase. It's not rare. Sure, there are people having kids all the time. Yes, like it's something that's, in his words, like is part of the regular human experience, right? It's something that he took for granted. But you gotta beat other people working as hard as you did, to your point. Like, they want it just as bad. That's what I don't think people realize. And one of the cliches I hate is like, oh, well, you know, they wanted him more. Hell no, they didn't. I promise you, all right, when EG played OG, both of those teams had spent the last 2 months on nothing else. Like, I don't know if people realize, like, the kind of commitment I'm talking about. Like, you have Dota. Your life is Dota. Everything you do is to achieve this goal. Like, that's why when people win this TI, like, they look broken inside. They gave everything. There's nothing left. Like, it's just shock and awe. And that's like, it's beautiful. And that's like why I love sport, and why if I ever really need to get like emotionally charged, there's a couple videos of just huge games, huge moments, like the Boise State, Oklahoma 2007 Fiesta Bowl, which none of y'all will know. But point is, it's amazing. And at the very end, okay, the guy that scores like the game-winning point, big upset, he runs over to the captain of the cheerleading squad, his girlfriend, and proposes, and she says yes. And it's like, it's just, you could, if you scripted this, you'd be like, nah, there's no way. There's trick plays, no, there's fourth downs, like, it's unbelievable, and you feel it. You can't not feel it. Coming back to how to become a pro player. we gotta finish this one up. I would say it's not bad to follow your dreams, but keep in check with reality. You gotta be able to, like, to get back to shore. Like, you can start swimming, but you gotta always have the shore in sight and get back. Unless, well, you can try and, like, if you continue on this metaphor, if you get too far out, you might drown, and that would be not good. But I don't know. I'm now wondering, like, have I always kept the shore in sight, and did I not at some point, you know, take a plunge? And I'm sure people did at some point, just gave it all or nothing. And if you then get nothing, then that's a little sad. I actually would say expect to get nothing at least once or twice, maybe 10 times. You will fail. I think that is the thing that a lot of people don't recognize. Like, yeah, there's the magic person, you know, Owen as an example. It's like, oh, make a studio, and then ascended suddenly to the top of the Dota scene. Not everybody's got that magical combination of voice, good looks, and talent. You're going to fail. Owen's probably failed at some point. I don't know when or where, but anyway, point is, you're going to fail. You will fail. Expect it. All right. Embrace it, learn from it, and keep going. And don't be ashamed if your dreams change. And don't be ashamed if you can't accomplish everything that you want right away. This is a part of life. And it is about the journey, not the destination. That is a hell of a cliche, but it's true. If you don't enjoy walking the path,
what's the use in actually ascending the mountain?
Yeah. And this is also true for example, when you try to work in esports as well. But that's for another episode. Not even for the next one. The next one's about something else. But that was it for episode 11.
All right, cool.
Don't give up on your dreams, but be realistic about them and assume they won't work. That sounds very depressing.
No, they won't work right away.
They won't work right away.
Nothing is
practice.
easy. Nothing worth having is easy.
Oh, look at that. My camera just is about to shut off. Yeah, it just stopped.
Perfect timing. That works.
Yeah.
That's we can close.
Somewhat. All right. Bye.
Bye. Oh.